Boom shakalaka, in the middle of a bunch of little bearish scenarios, Bitcoin is poised to have a massive breakout. Exactly when and why, stay tuned. What's up everyone, Randall here from Crypto Love. Today's video, we're talking about how amidst every little bearish thing that is happening with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, the whole market is poised for a breakout. We're going to go over exactly why and what's causing all of this bearish FUD right now. Plus, we're going to take a look at exactly when the breakout is likely to happen. Now, before we get into that, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Also, come join us over on Twitter at @TheCryptoLove, where every week we give away one of these sweet shirts, whether the market goes up, down, sideways, or whatever. Now, this butt crack right behind me here, this is the double bottom of DXY, the US dollar currency index. And according to this guy, Bitcoin always moves in the opposite direction of DXY. We can see here a very classic pattern, a double bottom. Here particularly looks like a butt crack, but you know, sometimes it looks like boobs or a W or whatever you have. Well, once we have bottom one, confirmation point right here, which is this red line, bottom two, once it breaks out of there, there is a 97% chance, almost 100% chance that it will break up. Now, if DXY is breaking up, and if Bitcoin always moves in the opposite direction, that would mean that Bitcoin would move down. Now, I don't have further proof that Bitcoin always moves in the opposite direction of DXY, but this is certainly speculation. Not only that, but we have other stuff like this. The most bearish calendar day, statistically speaking. That's right, today, July 21st, is the worst day for pretty much every market out there, maybe even Bitcoin as well. As a matter of fact, if we take a look out of the whole history since 2000 of the Dow, only 14.3% of the days were positive. Of the S&P, only 19% of the days were positive. Of the NASDAQ, only 14.3% of the days were positive on July 21st. So, potentially could be bad for Bitcoin. But if we take a look at Bitcoin on a grand scale, these are the monthly candles on BLX, the Brave New Coin Liquid Index. We can see that Bitcoin is on the verge of looking pretty darn bearish overall. We have 3 red monthly candles. Now, if we take a look, back in 2013 when we had that double peak, there was only 1 red monthly candle. When we start to get to more red monthly candles, we start looking somewhere in the scenario of a bearish market. I mean, even here, we had 6 out of 8, so 3/4 of 8 were red. So we are right on the verge. But as you can see here, Bitcoin right now on the 12 monthly, the yearly moving average, sitting right above there. And potentially, I think Willy Wu could have figured out what is going on. A tentative thesis he has for the current price regime is that China is an urgent seller, while the West are patient buyers. So he says that people often think the market is buying or selling. In truth, every buyer has a seller. Price moves up or down according to who is patient and who is urgent. So right now, with all the bans in China, they have to sell their Bitcoin potentially. And it's being sopped up by Western countries, or countries other than China. I mean, it could be just to the west of China. I don't know what's there. Russia, I guess. Well, anybody could be buying it other than China. And he has this graph here. You can see Binance inflows, mainly from Asia, especially over the China FUD of banning BTC. So we can see those huge inflows there, potentially moving from Chinese hands to non-Chinese hands. Now, you kind of have to think about this as somebody who's really good with money. Like, let's pretend that you're a multi-billionaire and you know that Bitcoin's good. Like, for instance, Elon Musk, even as much of a douchebag he is, you know, he still sees the good points of Bitcoin. Now, if he's good with money, he's obviously going to want to buy it at a good price. So why would you FOMO in like he did back at $45,000? Why not just wait for the price to come down and wait and wait and wait? And also, why on earth would you buy on an exchange where it would send the price up? You would buy over the counter so it doesn't affect the price on exchanges. So all of this stuff is happening in the background because, guys, there's still a whole bunch of other things that have yet to happen. I think this right here is pretty important. Jim Cramer thinks Tether is mad money. And this could be something that could potentially even send the price of Bitcoin lower. So speaking on July 20th, Jim Cramer said he questioned Tether's lack of transparency and why the firm hasn't disclosed what the large percentage of commercial paper backing USDT is. Now, he goes on further to say, I'm concerned about Tether, and I'm not going to stop sounding the alarm until I know what Tether has. They've got about $60 billion in commercial paper. Tether, open up the kimono. What commercial paper do you have? There's a belief that a lot of the commercial bank paper is Chinese paper. Why not put that to a rest and tell us it isn't? Now, as of right now, as of March 31st, Tether has said that amongst the category, commercial paper accounted for 65%, with cash alone accounting for just 3.8% of Tether. Now, this is something that could potentially send Bitcoin price spiraling. Not only that, but we have a couple bad months coming for Bitcoin. August and September are two of the worst months for Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, June, July, August, September are four of the worst months for Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin to just be going sideways and not plummeting, I'd say that's a pretty good thing for Bitcoin. The other way to look at this, though, is that April and May are generally very good months for Bitcoin. This year, April and May, not very good months for Bitcoin. So maybe we'll see something opposite of what normally happens. Maybe like August, September, when Bitcoin usually goes down, it might actually go up this year. We'll kind of have to see. Now, what's going on? Since Bitcoin has stabilized around $30,000, things have changed. Whales and small fish have started accumulating again, while other categories have turned neutral. So basically nobody's selling. If we take a look here, the massive selling occurred way up here in this wick off top here. It was actually the whales who owned 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin who were selling massively during that period in the red area. Right now, everybody is pretty much accumulating, and if that interpretation is correct, then what we have had with this correlation is a reset. Would that trend continue? Is there only one direction Bitcoin can go, and that's up? And I think we are definitely seeing the correction being a reset. Because if we take a look at this chart here, I'm going to come back to this in a second. We take a look at this chart here. Huge on-chain divergence. Strong hands accumulating in Bitcoin, price coming down. Last time this happened was way back when Bitcoin was $10,000 right before it took off. So essentially, right now we are resetting to that point, potentially before Bitcoin takes off to, who knows, even 6 times, potentially almost $200,000. Because the short-term price action, that means this, kind of dropping down of the price, doesn't invalidate broader trends. Price can diverge from underlying investor behavior, just as it is not for the last few weeks, but not forever. Against popular belief, he still sees a supply squeeze in play and continuation of the Bitcoin bull market. Guys, you have to remember, a lot of this accumulation is happening with large hands. So a lot of the larger buyers are buying over the counter. That doesn't affect price. All that does is affect supply. And then once the smaller buyers start buying on exchanges, that's when we see the effects of the supply shock. And that's when the price goes up dramatically. Now, furthermore, to be shown in this graph here, this blue amount, this is the illiquid amount of Bitcoin. That's right. More and more Bitcoin just keeps getting bought up. And right now, it's almost at 15 million Bitcoin are illiquid. That means they don't get moved. That means that somebody's holding them. So that means that out of that, there's only a little bit that's left that's available. And as this keeps going up, the supply shock will only get stronger and stronger. So that leaves me to the question of why Bitcoin, why now? Well, if we take a look at the Puel multiple, this one shows great times to buy Bitcoin. Like, would you have loved to have bought Bitcoin at $2 before it went up to almost over $1,000? Or would you have loved to have bought it at $200 before it went up to $20,000? Or would you have loved to have bought it at $3,000 before it went up to $65,000? Well, if you buy in this green area of the Puel multiple where Bitcoin price has just flashed, that's pretty much the best time that you can potentially buy. And then you would sell at the Pi cycle top. And you can see Pi cycle top flag there at around $60-some thousand, $61,000 there. The last time it flagged was $20,000. The time before that was the peak at 1,100 and then the peak at 213. So the question is, when is Bitcoin going to bounce back? And I think this Pi cycle top might actually have an answer, because if we take a look at this double peak scenario, we can see the Pi cycle top flagged in April, and then we had a bottom back in mid-July before it took off again end of November, beginning of December for that second peak. Potentially, we might be having that same exact thing going on right now, where April, the Pi cycle top flag, just like this April, now mid-July, we potentially have a bottom, like these $30,000 areas could potentially be a bottom before we start seeing Bitcoin take off. And we know that whales are buying. but it's starting to even be big whales. Rothschild's buying Ethereum right now. Now, the Rothschild Investment Corporation has bought 2,834 Ethereum in stock form through Grayscale's Ethereum Trust. They're reportedly holding 1.4 billion in assets, with about 5 million now held in Ethereum. So that makes them one of the most prominent banks to buy ETH, most likely for one of their private clients. But the banks are getting into Bitcoin and Ethereum and cryptocurrencies, and things are turning around. So don't lose hope. Even though the price may drop more, it doesn't matter, because 4 years from now, 6 years from now, 10 years from now, you will likely not regret it. So guys, if you did enjoy that, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Also, come join us over on Twitter to win one of these sweet shirts. I'll catch you later. Love you very much. Peace.